actually going to invite Kush to come on stage and intro our next two guests for a fireside chat. Welcome, Kush.
Thank you. How's everyone doing? Wow, what a great event so far. Thank you so much for inviting us. The reason why I'm on stage, even though I'm not a speaker, is because this is one of the rare opportunities when I get to introduce two very dear friends and also two of the most consequential people in the crypto generation. First, I want to tell a quick story about Stephen, who, of course, everyone knows. But believe it or not, like Harmony was born while we were eating ramen and drinking beer. That's what we did for a long, long time, supporting each other, coming together as a community. And there's one man who brought us all together, Stephen. So, Stephen, thank you so much for pulling it together. The second person that I wanted to introduce, who will tell a very fascinating story about how the world of finance, blockchain, technology, society are all coming together, is Raghu Yarlagadda, the founder and CEO of FalconX. He built one of the fastest growing companies the world has ever seen. And I'm comparing like Google's and Facebook's of the like in that equation. Not just that, Raghu has, one of the most important things about that I feel about Raghu is that he's one of the best supporters of the startup and the entrepreneur ecosystem. And he has done tremendous things in his life. I'll let him tell his own story instead of stealing the thunder. But I think this is a great opportunity for me to bring two of the best people together and have a great session. So Stephen and Raghu, please come on up.
So exciting to be here.
It's really great to have all these friends, but also Silicon Valley thought leaders coming to here. And to say Raghu is our special guest today so that I come on the stage to really have a conversation with is understatement. We started all 2017, 2018 together, but I would love to have him tell the story. After Harvard, after Google, to take this chance into this industry, how did it start?
Absolutely. First off, what a time to be in crypto. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us coming together in this room, and I'm excited. Kush, thanks so much for the intro as well. So I'll start a little bit about my background and then talk about why crypto and all of that. I started my career as an engineer. I specialized in machine learning and image processing. Started two companies after that, got very lucky with both of them. 2 successful exits. And then I got some terrible advice. I fell for it. The advice is engineers must go to business school. Don't do that. It was advice from good friends and family. And following that, I went to Harvard Business School. Right after HBS, I was about to start a company, but then I got a chance to meet with Sundar, who's now the CEO for Google and Alphabet. At that point, he was the VP of Chrome. His gravity field was so strong that it made me put my own startup idea aside, and I blindly joined Google. What am I working at Google? I don't know. I come back home, and I'm like, I'm going to follow this guy. And my wife was like, are you crazy? And you're about to start this company, then you have this 2-3 hour long meeting, and then you're going to join him. So that's one of the best decisions that I took in my life. Started at Google, fortunate to have worked at a product line called Chromebooks. These are laptops powered by Chrome, the browser. And we were playing in retail before we started focusing on schools. Retail, Apple and Microsoft were basically eating us for breakfast. It's like, why fight in a place where you don't have the strength to fight? And more importantly, I feel that schools are one place where we need to basically have better technology. It is sad that in one of the best countries in the world, 5 students were using 1 laptop. In 2014. We talk about digitally educating the next generation, but that's the truth. So we started focusing on schools, and that became a huge hit. In less than 3 years, the business went from less than $10 million in revenue to about $4 billion for Google and partners. So it was a lot of fun. I was getting happy and fat. When your product does well in Google, they treat you really well, which means let's put a freaking swimming pool in the third floor. Why? It's cool. So I was getting happy and fat. At that point, I was about to politely transition, but some of the brightest engineers that I know, including the likes of him, they started, let's not be polite. They're not shutting up about blockchain. And for me, blockchain is like, what is so great about this? As an engineer, this is one of the most inefficient databases out there. You're replicating a copy of data across 10,000 places, and you're saying it's cool? And I have to believe that it's cool because you say it's cool? So I was like not getting it. But engineers who worked all the way with Larry and Sergey were like going gung-ho about this. And there are a lot of mistakes that I made in life, but the one thing that I did well is follow great engineers. I was like, okay, let me step out of my comfort zone and understand what's going on there. And if you're interested, we can go deeper into that. But after a year of working with these people, what I realized is a lot of world's value will be tokenized in the next 5 to 10 years. Whether it's crypto in its first form, or whether it's stable coins tokenizing fiat, the fiat that we know, or whether it's NFTs, or whether it's tokenized equities, the world is going to be tokenized. And whether you call it Web3 or tokenization, it's the exact same thing. And if that happens, building the first innings of that chapter is truly an honor for all of us. It's so much fun. I mean, you got to have stories that you can tell your grandkids. That's what work should be about. So once I got that notion, it was like very hard to put blockchain away. So I started going deeper and deeper and deeper. More beer, more ramen, deeper and deeper. And boom, we started Harmony, and then we started FalconX about 3.5 years back.
That's just amazing. You guys can tell from the passion, this is a person like a dreamer to think about the big impact. And just like Chromebook, if not many of the Google X, Google initiatives, FalconX is just like it. Big idea, big initiative. Raghu, tell us about what is the role of institution in this market now that you have seen the last few years of growth and risk?
Yeah, absolutely. And first, let's quantify what institutions are. A lot of time when we think about institutions, these big, ugly corporations that only do bad things. Part of that is true, some of that. But I think more importantly, institutions are an eclectic mix. It's a very diverse set of hedge funds, retail aggregators, prop traders, crypto native funds. So essentially, this entire class of institutions are trying to access digital assets. And why is that important? We are not the next billion users that are going to come into crypto. We are the early adopters. And by early adopters, by the very definition, we're excited about new things. We take risks. We are not willing to fail. We are willing to fail a little bit and then do cool things. But the next billion users might not share all these attributes. And these users are going to access tokenization or digital assets through the fintech apps and brokers that they're very familiar with. Unless we provide seamless access to where the next billion users go, the digital asset ecosystem is not going to basically grow and thrive. Our goal is to not make sure that we build cool decentralized financial applications, absolutely important, cool NFTs for the first billion people, until this remaining 5 billion people on the planet come into the modern financial systems. We should not stop. And that was exciting. That was exciting. And that was how we started FalconX, and we can get in the details if you're interested.
Yeah. Raghu, you also have a strong engineering background, understanding what builders need to do to bootstrap all this. When the institutions come, finally, this is where the adoption can be at a massive scale. Now, this is a year of Web3. Yep. How would you see the role of engineers working with institutions to really make the story happen?
That's a fantastic question. I want to digress a little bit for the first 60 seconds, and we can get into engineers and institutions. How do they overlap? 2017, the biggest use case in crypto was like hope, right? We're going to change the world. We're going to build amazing things. You press for the second order details. Trust us, we'll do it. Zero knowledge. No, no, I think that was good. I mean, that is how a lot of technology is born, right? That hope didn't fully translate to action in 2018. But what is really cool about 2020 is the first meaningfully large use case panned out. And if you look at it, COVID accelerated that use case. The use case is, as world is printing a lot of money, people wanted digital scarcity. People wanted a replacement for gold. And Bitcoin and now Ethereum started acting like an inflationary hedge. And that was a very important attribute for governments, for institutions, for common people as well. And that really accelerated the type of institutions that are coming into the space. And following the journey of institutions is actually very interesting for us to know how we should build for these institutions. 2020, May, this is just not a joke. One of the world's largest hedge funds signed up on FalconX.io. And I was like, the world's largest hedge fund, the main guy at the world's largest hedge fund signing up on our website, it's phishing. We didn't even respond. After 24 hours, what if this is true? One of the most influential people on the planet is interested in digital assets, and he just signed up on the website. So we responded. He was like, hey, what took you so long? So, okay, great. So and then we asked them, why are you coming into digital assets? It's all for inflationary hedge. As the world is printing a lot of money, and that's important. Otherwise, we couldn't have gotten out of the pandemic this quickly. As the world is printing a lot of money, a lot of institutions and governments were looking for alternative gold. And once they found it in Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's a massive influx of institutions. They came in, they started investing billions into the ecosystem. And once they're investing, this happened around the December 2020 of the world. Hey, I'm trading billions in a market that is 24/7, but I'm only trading it for 40 hours a week. Basically, the time when my banks are open. This is crazy. My balance sheet could be so much more efficient. Why am I not trading on the weekends? Yeah, banks are not open. Okay, let's explore this thing called stablecoins. That is where they started exposing themselves to the true nature of DeFi and stablecoins. So they started getting into stablecoins. Now, fast forward that to February 2021, these guys are like, stablecoins are cool. Who's powering stablecoins? Ethereum, great. Tell me more about Ethereum. And as Ethereum started going into deflationary regime because of the London fork, they started seeing Ethereum as a hedge as well. So they started knowing about Ethereum. Now we're beginning to have conversations about Harmony. The reason why that's important is if you look at institutions and what they need, they really want liquidity. I mean, the size of liquidity, to give you an example, one of the world's largest asset manager, 3 weeks back, on a Saturday morning at 6 o'clock, we are thinking about buying $1 billion. I was like, dude, Saturday, is there liquidity? That's why we came to FalconX. Great, we'll figure this out. So when they're talking about buying that magnitude of trades, the entire liquidity in all the chains is extremely important. The notion of cross-chain bridges is extremely powerful as we tie all of world's liquidity together. And it's a very complex engineering problem. A lot of people claim they can do it, but the reason why we're excited about Harmony and similar protocols is the cross-chain bridges, I think, are the true next generation for decentralized finance. It's not pockets of ecosystems spread across all these chains. It is one integrated, cohesive liquidity that we can all tie through these bridges. Then magic is going to happen. You mint an NFT anywhere, you should be able to access that NFT anywhere. So as an engineer, long-winded way to get to your question, sorry. But as an engineer, the most important thing to think about is how to basically build across these multiple chains using a great array of cross-chain bridges so that your system, your application, your service is accessible by anyone on the planet. That is the single most important thing that you need to think through. Number two, while institutions are big, there are also a lot of small institutions. You cannot ignore the fact of institutions being in digital assets. A lot of the move that we're seeing in 2020 and 2021 is institutional-led. That's going to continue. Crypto is $2.5 trillion. All of world's assets is $120 trillion. And about 70% of that is institutional-led. So a lot of institutions are going to come in. And keep in mind that there are only 1.5 billion people playing in the modern financial system. You guys are going to help bring the next 5 billion people. That's going to inflate the assets to about $400 trillion. So Bitcoin price being at this stage and Ethereum price being at this stage is just a starting point, I think. When this entire next generation of people come in, the fun that you'll have as engineers and entrepreneurs, it's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Let's keep building bridges together. But you not only work with institutions or banks and hedge funds, you also talk to so many regulators, lawmakers. Yeah. What keeps you up at night? Is it NFT become securities or DAOs, everyone getting sued and have the liabilities? What worries you from the legal perspective?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. That's an excellent question. I think 3 to 4 months back, there was a very subtle move that was incredibly powerful. I don't think the markets noticed it as much. If you look at, China came in and said that they're going to be banning, crypto. This is one of their strictest bans. Now, after that happened, within 2 or 3, months, actually 1.5, 2 months, a lot of people within the US regulatory stack started coming out and saying, we're not going to be banning crypto. We're going to be regulating it. And from a regulation standpoint, investor protection and market surveillance are the things that we care about. So that's an amazing step. Meaning once US and all the associated countries, which fly in tight formation with the US, are taking the stance that we're not going to be banning, including the likes of India, that actually opens and legitimizes this market. That's extremely important for all of us. And what these regulators care about is making sure that people are not taking risks that they don't fully understand, investor protection, that people are not getting cheated. And there is enough transparency in the system. So when you're building applications, blockchains, bridges, it's important to do the right thing by actually showcasing transparency. We're not going to be pulling a rug under someone and making money. That's not the type of money that we're interested in making. Our goal is to make good money. Our goal is to make it sustainably. Our goal is to welcome the next 5 billion people that are coming in. And that's exactly what the regulators want. But the not so great part is regulators take a long time to move. And on the other side of the table, we don't have patience. We're builders. That is the hard part. Patience is important. Whenever a regulator comes out and sneezes, the market does that. And what's happening to my tokens? We got to get used to that, and we need to start thinking long term, because regulators coming in, they're representing the next 5 billion people that are coming in, and the next 5 billion people coming in are very powerful for us. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that tied to my last question. I always use the analogy of jumping off the cliff to do a startup, to get into crypto. The idea of you have to know this is a long journey and you're assembling your wings and your engines of an airplane to make it there. You also coming from Google and Harvard to tell many people to join this journey. What is your analogy to be able to recruit such an amazing team to join your journey? What would be the idea you would tell this group of Silicon Valley engineers, this is a journey to make?
It's a fascinating question. I'll tell you why I'm doing a crypto startup now, right? I mean, we all could be doing a lot of different things. But if you look at it, there are 3 things that are intersecting now. And these 3 things intersect usually every 20 or 30 years. So what are these 3 things? First of all, a profound technology. What is the definition of a profound technology? You expect your Google and Facebook to work 24/7, but none of your financial services work on Saturdays and Sundays. Those things are broken. The financial infrastructure is simply not to the scale what humanity needs. And stablecoins prove that blockchain is a good solution. So you have a profound technology that can transform all of finance. The second circle that's intersecting is the macroeconomic need. The world printing a lot of money, and in that printing of a lot of money, people are looking for inflationary hedges. That is the macroeconomic need. The third thing, I don't know if this is recorded, but I'll say it anyways. The third thing is, a lot of time, profound technologies are hijacked by the biggest companies like the FANGs of the world. Amazing companies, a lot of respect for them. But blockchain, because of the emerging nature, the FANG companies are not hijacking it yet. And this is the time for us to build. It's very rare that these 3 things intersect. And when these 3 things intersect, I don't want to be in a big company, right? Unless the big company is FalconX and you should join us and we're hiring. I'm just kidding.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for today.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah.